What is high-speed sorting? I think most people interpret that to mean, how fast can you go? And I'm asked that a lot. And I usually say something, and I don't mean to be smart alecky, but, as fast as you want. Having said that, most of the time we see instruments set up with a certain PSI and jet velocity, say something like 60 to 70 PSI, and a jet velocity of about, some 30 meters per second or near that, depending on the system. That jet's divided into droplets, and at those speeds and pressures, you're typically going to see, between 80,000 and 100,000 drops per second. Does that mean that you can do 100,000 cells per second because you're at 100,000 drops per second? Well, if you're enriching, yeah, you probably could, and you could not worry about taking any sort of extra cells or passenger cells sorting. On the other hand, if you're doing a sort for somebody whose transgenic mouse has passed away and you have a small sample of what's left of the bone marrow and you want to recover as much as possible, we don't want to have coincidence aborts, which means we want to sort at a rate where we recover most of everything. Most of the sorters these days, virtually all of them, do a pretty good job in terms of purity. It's recovery where you see differences. So sure, you can sort as fast as you want, but you better be ready to lose some to aborts if you sort at a frequency where, say, the cells are much more than one cell every 3 or 4 drops. The overall thing to think about in doing good high-speed sorting is the right sample prep. Is there any extremely high-speed things you can do up front, like a pre-enrichment by just some sort of separation by antibody-based selection with magnetic beads? Can you spin them in such a way to remove stuff? Make sure you've lysed unwanted red blood cells and that kind of thing. So it can be pretty high speed if you can get rid of millions of cells in just a few minutes in a centrifuge, for example. High speed, most people think about, though, is how fast does your sorter run. And again, that's going to be a function of drop rate and the goal. Is the goal to get as many as you can, as fast as you can, reasonably pure, in which case you can run almost a cell every drop or every other drop. In contrast, if the goal is to get a very high purity prep and to recover as many as possible, then we don't want to abort, in which case, again, you'll want to titrate the frequency of the sample to about, say, 1 cell in every 3 or 1 cell in every 4 drops, so you don't lose too many due to coincidence.